Hello everyone, this is JPL, and today I'm joined with... He's waving his hand, folks. Anyway, and we are a podcast name in brackets. Anyway, how are you doing today, Christopher? Waves his hands. Ah, you're tired, I see. Okay.
How are you? Doing pretty fine. So yeah, how about you?
I'm doing fine. Yeah, no. It's been a time, I
Okay,
guess.
so you know what was my intention of doing the hand wave thing?
What?
So basically, I didn't yell out and say Christopher like I normally do. And so if people start to writing and complaining, why didn't Christopher do the Christopher, then we'll know we have listeners. But if people don't, then that's a problem. So that it was all a scheme to see who actually listens to the show.
Yes, our two people.
I just made that up on the spot, actually. So
Yes.
yeah.
No, I know why you did it. Hi. Hi, yes.
Yes. So we have a handful of things to talk about. Do you want to talk about the new stuff first? I didn't watch anything, so unless you want to get that out of the way, only thing I've been watching is South Park.
Yeah, no. This has been like a interesting 2 weeks, I guess. More so the past few days. Star Wars celebrations going on right now, so we got a bunch of news. There's also
and
just
I am a little confused with some of this. Like I think the more I hear about it, the more I kind of understand, but also am confused still. You know what I mean?
I guess, yes. I mean, there was no context. I was just writing stuff down on Discord.
Well, I mean, I was seeing this stuff before you sent it in Discord.
Okay.
But, like, we'll talk about it when we get there.
We'll talk about it when we get there.
Well, what are we getting to first, John?
First things first, I guess. We were just talking about this before we started. So there's a new feature on YouTube called For You.
Okay, question. Is that on mobile or on the computer?
It's on both.
Really?
Yeah. So basically what this is you go to a channel, you go to videos, and there's a tab that says For You, but it automatically sets it to For You instead of the latest.
So, like, if you look for someone's videos?
If you go to a channel and go to their videos tab, they'll send you to the For You tab instead of the latest videos.
I think I did see that on a computer. I can't see on my browser.
But yeah, no, it was really annoying. I
can't see on my phone.
I was going to a channel because I was expecting some news, and like it was automatically sending me to For You, and it was like, huh, it's interesting that we haven't got anything then. But no, it was there. It was just not set to the latest, which is really annoying.
Okay, so no, actually, so I went to the Disney page, and it's only showing me latest and popular.
Okay. Well, for me,
I did see the For You thing, though.
Yes, the For You thing is here for me. It goes there automatically every time I go to a channel.
That's annoying.
Yeah, no. I don't mind having a For You option. I
agree.
I go to videos because I want to see what their latest video is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think, I will say the For You thing is a very interesting way to, of course, keep a person on a channel / on YouTube. And maybe the reason why it's automatically set to that is, unfortunately, to maximize people to stay on the platform. But at the end of the day, when I go to the videos page, usually I want to see what's the latest they've released, not stuff that's recommended.
It's probably also because it's a new feature. That's probably why they're just testing it out.
That also makes sense.
But yeah, I sent my feedback, my official feedback option that they give you. It doesn't really do anything, but I did it. So at least they have it on their records that I sent them something saying, hey, I like the idea, but don't make it automatic. So
give me an option of what I can choose as automatic.
Yeah, just stick with what you've been doing for over a decade.
Because let's be honest, actually, if you think about it, there might be some people who might prefer the popular button. And then there might be some people who might prefer the For You button. But I think most people prefer the latest. And yeah, I think we should have the right to choose which one we
we need the latest. We do need the popular, because that's the most viewed. And then we need the oldest. We still need the oldest.
Let me, because I thought I could sort.
You can't.
They took it away. That makes me sad.
You can only sort your own videos in your YouTube studio. So it's a shame, especially for channels like PewDiePie, which have how many videos? A lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many, but they got a lot, and it'd be annoying to want to get to the stuff that he made 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Okay, so one comment on the Bloodroot thing.
Bloodroot, yes.
I didn't reply to the thing you sent. So, because when we first talked about like streaming service, first when you mentioned that they were uploading this stuff, I was surprised because it almost sounded like it was for free. Just that was almost the impression I got. And it makes sense.
I did say you have to pay for it, but yeah.
Okay, then I completely forgot that. I think it makes sense you have to pay for it. I just forgot about that, and so I didn't expect that. That's all. I think so. I'd have to be very choosy of when I would watch it. You know?
Yeah, because you're not paying for a selection, you're paying for individual showing.
Mm-hmm. And so, again, it makes sense at the end of the day. I'm not necessarily mad about it, except the fact that I don't think Liberty needs more money. But, and you said, it's essentially the price of one ticket, which is true. And, again, just, it makes sense all around. But, also, I've just really, the past, especially the past month, but, I mean, it started with me collecting vinyl, but also now me getting into Blu-ray, I'm just more invested with physical media. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm planning to buy Parasite on Blu-ray. There's a Criterion release of it, so I'm planning to get that and my Wally thing together. But I could stream that on Hulu if I want to. Two things. Number one, I have Hulu with ads, so it's probably going to play with ads, and I don't want to see ads during a movie like that. But number two, it's just there's just something special about owning stuff. And I know you went through a phase, or most of your life, where you owned stuff, and that was the way to do things. And I don't know. I feel like I've always just been attached to owning.
Yeah.
Over streaming. And so I feel like I'm finding myself less and less wanting to pay for streaming. Not that I really did in the first place, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I was really into buying physical media. I kind of still am, but over the past decade. But the reason why I kind of started stopping is because I noticed that I wasn't actually watching what I was buying. I'd buy something, it'd be really cool, but it'd sit on my shelf for years before I'd even watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I started stopping, unless I really wanted it.
Mm. I think that's an interesting point, because I think there's an element right now where I'm kind of buying some things. You know what I mean? I went to a thrift store and I saw a movie called Gravity. If you may remember, John, I had a school project as it related to the movie Gravity.
I do remember, yes.
And so, you know what? I don't love the movie. I No, I'll say I have a love-hate relationship with the movie. I think it's a very interesting technical achievement of a movie. But it was never a movie I loved. I never thought the story was great or anything. But I have a bond with the movie because I worked so hard on the project, right? And I still think it's really intriguing technically. But I saw it at the thrift store for $250. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm gonna buy that for $250. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna drop 20 for it, but I'll drop $250. But there's an element where it's kind of like, oh, I'm amassing a collection, and it's not always like I'm not at the point where it's like I have so much and now I want to be choosy. It's like I have nothing, so I'm kind of getting any and everything. And I'm kind of reaching that point a little bit with vinyl where it's like I have amassed quite a collection for myself. And there's still so many more albums I want to buy, but I've reached like the satisfaction point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm being a little choosier about what I buy and not buying as much as I used to, especially right now, me kind of establishing a little bit of a Blu-ray collection, but even before the Blu-ray kind of kicked in.
So here's something that just happened.
What?
No, while you were talking, I went over to my own channel. It does the same thing for me as well.
Wait, it says for me?
No. I go to my channel. You know, the options goes, let me go to my channel. All right, let me check out my videos. Automatically goes to the For You tab. It's like, stop it.
Yeah.
It's like I always go to my channel to see what the latest is.
You know what I find interesting? It's on TikTok. If you go to someone's page, it's always sort by latest. There's no other way to sort it. You can't sort by popular or a For You. Like, it's always latest.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many times I want to sort a page by its most popular videos, but I can't.
And then here we have you on YouTube. They're making weird decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tomorrow I'm going to Springfield. I actually didn't realize so a coworker is leaving, and she's in a group called Boxing, which I love, highly recommend, even if John doesn't love them. But she's leaving the area for a bit, and so they're doing a concert up there. Send her off, and so I'm gonna go, right? Because I'm like, I want to see them. So that kind of was like, oh, while I'm in Springfield, I might visit a few stores and see what I can find cheaply or whatever. So as it relates to Blu-ray, so kind of fun and excited about that because I was actually already planning to go later this month for something called Record Store Day. So there's at least one album I really want releasing on vinyl, and so I'm planning to go up to Springfield on that day for that. But so I wasn't necessarily thinking or planning on going to Springfield tomorrow, but since the concert's in Springfield tomorrow, I'm like, yeah, I'm going. So curious what my little haul will be. I think looking at like me buying Blu-rays, it kind of makes me think of how few movies I have seen also, right? I have seen like all the MCU movies, and that almost makes me feel like, oh my gosh, I've seen a lot, right? And I've seen a handful. I looked on IMDb, and I have over 150 movies rated, which is a nice handful, but I know many people have seen many, many more. And and I look at the list, and there's like either there's not many I'm dying to own physically, or many of them are like Marvel stuff, which I wouldn't mind owning Marvel stuff on Blu-ray or anything. And I have a handful, but it's like there's so much I haven't seen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I find it interesting. I do like, artistic movies like Black Swan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of me that would like to see like more movies like that, but I'm just not great at like sitting down and watching things. Um, yeah. So, John,
Yes.
is there anything that you like to sit down and not sit down, but like, is there stuff you still collect, or was the last what was the Lego thing you were collecting? Was that the last thing you kind of actively collected?
Oh, my Lego Bionicle sets?
Bionicles.
Bionicle. What's the last one I got?
Yeah, or more or less, when was the last time you bought a Bionicle?
Well, let me check my history. Well, technically, remember there was that whole mystery box thing that I never got. No
Any
response.
update?
Nope.
No.
I've given up on it. But like, yeah, that was my last attempt in December. So it is a shame. So yeah, there's that. I guess. Yeah, I don't really collect much stuff anymore, except maybe books.
Books?
Because books are more of like, it's educational. I'm actually reading. It's not wasting my money. So right now I'm looking at some My Little Pony books. So they're cheap. They're on eBay for like $5. So I might get some just to see. I was never into that during the heyday, but now I'm a bit nostalgic. I'm like, why don't I check this out? Yeah. So here's something that I've been doing recently. So I don't know if you knew this. Like, I used to do reaction videos.
Yes.
And I used to do reaction videos to episodes of the show. But back then, how things were different. You would upload the full episode and not edit anything down. Today you do that. And so what I've been going through is I've been going through my episodes and been cutting bits down. One, because I think because then I'll feel better about copyright and fair use. Right. And two, it makes it a much more digestible video to have. Because before each video would be like about 30 minutes. Now I've like brought it down to like 15 to 10.
How far into the process are you?
So I've done up to 50 some videos. I'm about halfway done with the process for just ponies. There's still the other stuff, but I'm not really touching that right now because they're blocked on, and I can't really access them without going through all of my folders. So yeah, right now I'm just going through what's already on YouTube and using the YouTube editor to cut them down, which is nice. That's what I've been focusing on the past few days.
How has school been?
School has been fine. Yeah. We're about to open a show, a really big show. And so that's kind of been busy. So the next few weeks are going to be fun, And then, I have like a month exactly, and then I'll graduate. And it's like, oh, it's too soon. It doesn't feel like it's a month away. And it's like, oh.
How stressed are you feeling about the job stuff?
I'm not too stressed.
Good.
So how I'm thinking about it right now, if I don't really get any of the jobs, what I'll probably do is volunteer at the church with sound there, and then probably just get a normal job.
I will All right.
I have an interview scheduled next week, so
cool.
We'll see where that happens there. We'll see. And so, yeah. Let's see what's next in our business here. I guess we can talk about some Star Wars Celebration stuff.
Okay.
All right. So far, at the time of this recording, it's Sunday, so we've not gone to Monday, where all the animation stuff will happen, or other stuff. So, really, the big news happened on the first day. So, on the first day, on the big Lucasfilm panel, the first panel, everything was like announced, which was like shocking. Just to put into perspective, I have a document here I can take a look at.
Document of announcement.
I have a document. I'd like an official document to look at about what was announced. I'll get to that later. But here's what I wrote down. Okay, day one. So what's announced? We have a trailer for Ahsoka, a series coming out in August, which was exciting. You know, I've been looking forward to this for like a whole year now. Looks great. Really excited. I know CJ's excited. Then, yesterday they had the official Ahsoka panel. They showed the trailer again, but they had more footage. So exclusive to the convention that showed even more, that confirmed even more. They brought an actor on stage. It's like, hey, here he is. This is what you wanted, right? And yes, it was. We're all so happy about that. Then they showed a little bit of footage of The Acolyte, another show which I don't know when that's going to come out. It's probably next year. And so they described it as Frozen meets Kill Bill. Which,
I don't know what Kill Bill is, honestly.
It's a Tarantino movie about this woman who takes revenge and kills everyone.
Nice.
So that's just a really weird mixture, but it's intriguing. Then they had a bit of some.
Sorry. What do you know about The Acolyte?
So The Acolyte is a show that takes place about 100 years before anything.
Okay.
So before Phantom Menace, and it's about the villains. It's a show about the villains, but they're outnumbered. Then we have Skeleton Crew, which takes place during the Mandalorian times.
Mandoverse.
Mandoverse. That's what we're calling it. Which, that's the Stranger Things in space.
And also... Sorry. That's great. And Ahsoka is also Mandoverse, right?
Ahsoka is also Mandoverse.
Okay.
And it's a direct sequel to Rebels.
Okay, when was Rebels?
So Rebels takes place 5 years before A New Hope. From the first season to the last season.
Mandalorian happens when?
5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Okay, and that's a period of 40 years, right?
40 years from when?
How much time is between... Wait. Frick. Okay, so sorry. I'm sorry, I can never get these Star Wars titles down. Okay, so when is... Sorry, Rebels again?
Okay, so let's give us a baseline.
No. I almost got it. Like, when is Rebels?
So we'll have A New Hope be the baseline. Okay,
A New Hope is episode 4.
It's episode 4. That's our baseline.
Okay.
5 years before that, so -5, is Rebels from season 1 to season 4, each season being like a year later.
Okay, so we have Revenge of the Sith, which is when Clone Wars happens.
So Revenge of the Sith is 20 years before.
20 years before.
Yes.
When does Obi-Wan happen?
10 years before.
So it's 10 right square in the middle.
Yes.
Okay. So we have Clone Wars: Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
I almost said Revenge of the Jedi.
That's fine.
They're all the same. I'm half Asian. And then 10 years later, we have Obi-Wan. And 5 years later, we have Rebels. And 5 years later, we have A New Hope.
Yes.
Okay.
And so 3 years after A New Hope is Return of the Jedi.
Which is number 5?
Number 6.
Number 6.
Actually, no. Sorry. 2 or 3 years is Empire Strikes Back, which is number 5.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And then a year or two later, so probably 5 years after A New Hope, is Episode 6.
Okay, so that's a 5-year span.
Okay. So from Revenge of the Sith, that would be 20 years to New Hope plus 5 years to Revenge. That's 30 years after Revenge of the Sith is the Mandalorian.
Okay. And where is Ahsoka?
Ahsoka is around that time. So Ahsoka will probably be 2 or 3 years after the first season of Mandalorian.
So Ahsoka happens 10 years after Rebels, essentially.
Correct.
Which Rebels happens 15 years after Clone Wars.
Correct.
So Ahsoka is essentially a child in Clone Wars, I assume?
She is a teenager.
A teenager. So she's like 40 in Ahsoka. But also they age differently in Star Wars, so forget that.
They age differently. But yeah, pretty much. She's like maybe what, 15 in the Clone Wars, ending at like 18, and then she's like in her late 20s, early 30s in Rebels, and here she's like in her 30s, late 30s maybe.
I'm also remembering the fact that Baby Yoda is 50 years old, so that means Star time years.
Yes. Okay. So somewhere in there is Skeleton Crew, which is Stranger Things in space.
Okay, somewhere where as in Mandoverse time, or somewhere anywhere in the 30 years?
Somewhere in Mandoverse time is Skeleton Crew.
Okay.
Which is, if we're going by release order, it's probably going to be like a few months after the third season of Mandalorian this happens.
Okay.
Because that's kind of how they've been doing this.
Okay. Also, sorry, a few questions. I know I'm kind of going everywhere a little bit. So the more I hear Star Wars discourse, the more I realize a lot of people don't like Book of Boba Fett.
Really?
Yes.
Well, it has its issues. Pacing-wise, it's really slow. But not like an Andor slow.
I've heard almost exclusively nothing but bad things about Book of Boba Fett for a few months.
It really depends on who you're following.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm really not trying to get off topic. I'm just trying to make a point.
That's fine.
So like the new Mario movie, first off, stats are in the biggest worldwide opening for an animation movie. So that's pretty cool, beating out Frozen 2. Anyways, obviously audiences love it, but also it's a kids movie. So, you know, parents are trucking in kids and kids are in box office. Regardless, lots of people do love it, whether it be nostalgia or, probably nostalgia, or just it being for kids. But the critic score was around like 55 on the Rotten Tomatoes, and the main thing I'm seeing is a lot of people are criticizing like the lack of story, which I can see why a Mario movie doesn't need to have a strong story. I will say, seeing that they would want to continue this, I kind of would have thought maybe there would be a stronger story. But regardless, especially for a first outing, like you're definitely there to make people happy, right? My point is, I think the more I've been thinking about like art and media, the more I feel like I align with critics a bit. Like I see what critics say because I see a lot of people who are like, I hate critics. They never like anything. You know what I mean? And I think it's because critics have a standard that they have that a handful of movies don't meet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's not to say that I'm 100% critical person, that I like everything so serious and artistic or story-based or whatever. I mean, I was just thinking, right, the Minions. Like, I was watching some Minions stuff earlier, and I was just having fun with that. And that's crap stuff in comparison to, like, you know, something like amazing story, and critics be like, why do you enjoy that kind of thing? You know what I mean? So, like, there's part of me where I, like, fun. I was also thinking about, like, action. We were talking, you know, how I'm not the craziest guy about action, but a lot of people love action movies, right?
Right.
Like they'll watch John Wick 4. Obviously, like it's shot very well done. The action is very well done, but at the end of the day, it's more of an action movie than, oh, there's such a through line of a story that's so deep and impactful, right? It doesn't have that. I'm not saying it has no emotions. I'm just saying, like, you know, it's not the deepest story out there. And so a lot of people, you know, flock and watch that movie and love the action and whatever. And then I thought and realized I can be that way as it relates to like fun and silly, like Minion stuff. You know what I mean? And like sometimes that's my quote fun and action. Like I just want to see Minions being stupid. And it's like, oh, we all have different tastes. So anyways, I said a handful of crap. I'm sorry, but my main point is I see myself just kind of seeing things from a more critical eye, and so when people say, "Oh, critics just hate everything," I'm like, they have a standard, and you're not that audience. There are two different audiences. I think it's cool that like Rotten Tomatoes has two different audience scores, one from the critics and one from the audience, because there's some people who just go in who want to be entertained, and there's some people who are looking for something different. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, they're just different audiences for things. That was rabbit trail stuff. I forget how that originated from Star Wars. Oh, right, with Book of Boba Fett. And so, like we see like Andor being really like critically loved, I feel like. And honestly, maybe there's some audiences who don't love it as much because it's different. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not saying that means I'm going to love it. I might not like it. But I think, especially right now in an era where there's just a lot of like, Disney's a very easy target to hate right now. Marvel stuff hasn't been doing great. The latest episode of Mandalorian, which I want your thoughts on later, you know, didn't get a lot of love. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so especially with that episode of Mandalorian, you know, people are hating on the Ahsoka trailer. You know what I mean? And so I think maybe because you're more of a fanboy of Star Wars than I ever will be, and so I think there's part of me that is also more apt to like be like, oh yeah, Star Wars sucks, kind of. Like I might resonate more with that feedback than like you who love Star Wars. So I thought it was really interesting because I remember you liking Book of Boba Fett. And then I find it interesting that it's like, oh, well, a lot of people don't seem to like the Boba Fett.
Yeah, no, I like it. I get the criticism, but I still like it.
Cool.
I mean, It doesn't ruin anything, really.
I guess since we're on that moment, latest episode of Mandalorian.
Latest episode of Mandalorian. It was such a weird one. Just because, like, one of the first things you see is like, oh, by the way, you have this weird romance between two different fish people. That's kind of weird. Anyway, here's our actual plot with the Mandalorian. That was just their opening. So, Mandalorian goes to this planet. Guess what? Hey, it's Jack Black and this singer lady. They're in the episode now, I guess, and they're kind of doing their stuff. Oh, there's also Christopher Lloyd, a great actor from the 80s, who people love. It's like, what the heck? There's all these famous people in this? And it's kind of weird. The whole episode was just, oh, this is a weird thing. We're doing this side plot to get to our real plot, which, we expect. And then it ends with the real plot, and it kind of feels a little underwhelming because it's, I don't know. It's the way it's handled, maybe it's the tone. It's off. So I enjoyed the episode, watching it, but I'd probably rank it bottom of Mandalorian episodes, personally. Even though there's a lot of really cool stuff in there.
I feel like, so speaking on Disney hate, the latest season of Mandalorian, I feel like I'm also seeing the worst reviews I've ever seen for The Mandalorian.
I don't fully understand those reviews. Because until, like, I get the whole thing with the first episode not being a first episode, but, like, I don't know. I don't fully see what's really wrong with the rest of the show besides this last episode. I think it's fine. I think it's really good. So, yeah, no. The main complaints that I've heard is that people don't really feel connected to the characters. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm so connected with these characters. Maybe it could be it could be a problem of part of the reason why we're connected to it is because a lot of the characters are from previously established shows. So we have a character from Clone Wars and Rebels in the show. And it's like, I'm so connected in the story because I have years of why this is so important. But like a new audience member who hasn't seen that, it's like, why do I care about this? It's like, give me more Mando. Where's Baby Yoda? So, like, for a casual audience, I get it. But, like, Star Wars should be more than just casual.
Do you think that there are too many side things going on in this season?
No, because that's pretty much how the standard is. Like, okay, what's really weird about this season is before, in season 1, you have, okay, the Mando gets Baby Yoda, and the whole plot of the season is just him trying to figure out what to do with this Baby Yoda. And so you have, like, one-off episodes of him doing different things, and it's not working out. And so the season ends with he now has a plan. Okay, let's get Baby Yoda to where he belongs. So that's the whole arc of season 2, of getting Baby Yoda to where he belongs. Every other episode is like a journey to the next major plot point, which is fine because we're still going into progression. It's not like randomly we're doing this. It's like we're going to do this, but I have to stop here because I don't have any gas, type of thing. Season 3 is odd because we have this story. I have to do this, but it gets resolved in like the second episode. And then there's this other... It's really weird because I'm not entirely sure what the direction is. And it's like some episodes aren't being full episodes. They're just like a mixture of plots that are not concluded because they're going to be concluded in the next episode. It's It's a bunch of that. And so I get it. Weekly by weekly, it's probably not as fun to watch. But since I know that the story is going to go somewhere, I hold back on criticism until we get there.
Can you imagine the people who, because the Mario movie was released earlier in the week, Wednesday. So imagine the people who went to a midnight showing of Mario and then went home to watch the latest episode of Mandalorian, only to see Jack Black again.
I know. When I saw Jack Black, I was like, what the heck? Is that Jack Black? What?
I don't know. I think, again, there is part of me with Star Wars that wants to rewatch things to reassess how I think and feel, right? But also because now there is so much more material. And honestly, timelines are more confusing than Marvel, for being honest. Like I don't know, you know. Anyways,
I guess, yeah.
Are there any other Disney Plus shows within Mandoverse, or was that it?
Well, I'm not done yet.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
I'm not done yet. So yeah, we got a trailer for the new Indiana Jones movie.
And so, is that during Mandoverse?
It could be. But yeah, this was all for like the Lucasfilm company, so they're just assessing through their different properties. And so yeah, we got the Indiana Jones trailer.
Was it good?
It was fine. I'm still gonna watch it. You know, that's of course being directed by the guy who directed Logan.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also talking like, oh yeah, I'm also directing the new Swamp Thing movie for DC.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little bit of news about Andor. It's like, oh yeah, we're filming season 2 now. We want to get that going for you guys. So that's probably coming out next year. They showed a little teaser, some footage that they did, but like there really wasn't anything there.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, the only thing that was released was the Indiana Jones trailer and the Ahsoka trailer. Everything else was like through leaks and what people and word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then, you know, everybody's thinking, it's like, okay, this panel is ending. We're at the end of the panel time. And then they're like, okay, so I think some of you guys are like expecting some movie news. And we're like, yes. And so they announced 3 new movies. And so here's the 3 ones. We have a movie that's set in the old times that's going to tell the story of the very first Jedi.
And directed by
James
Mangold.
Oh yes, that's it. He's directing that, which is cool, I guess.
I'm not gonna lie, that does intrigue me.
Yeah, it is intriguing. I do want Old Republic stuff, but this is like
right.
really Old Republic.
Right. Like if there's 2 Star Wars things right now that intrigues me the most, it's Andor and this movie.
Okay. And then they announced like, oh yeah, we're getting a movie that's gonna be the ending point of the Mandoverse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be directed by Dave Filoni, and we're like, yeah. You don't really, I'm not sure if you really know that name, but he was an animation director for Clone Wars. Everybody loved. He worked hand in hand with George. Then he did Rebels. Everybody loved that. And then he and Favreau created Mandalorian. He had his first live-action directorial debut with that. He's directing Ahsoka. Now he's doing his own film, which I'm really excited to see how that turns out.
So, can I put a pin on that for a moment?
You can put a pin on that, yes.
No, that's not what I meant. Can I make a pit stop at this moment? That's what I meant. What? No. Wait. I'm getting confused.
What are you trying to say?
Sorry. Okay, I have a question. Are there any other Disney Plus shows that have been, maybe not in this conference, but have been announced for Disney Plus that are related to Mandoverse?
So we were supposed to get Rangers of the New Republic, but I think that show's no longer going through.
Okay, so that was supposed to happen during Mandoverse?
Yes, but I think they are putting that into Mandalorian season 3 and season 4.
Okay, so we're still getting Mandalorian season 4.
I think so.
Okay, so do you think it's going to be like Skeleton Crew / Ahsoka Mando season 4 movie?
Perhaps, maybe some other stuff.
So that's what I find interesting, is that this movie could release in 2029.
It could.
For all we know, for all these...
There are no dates for when they're going to come out.
Right, but there is no set end. Like they just announced like the end game of this saga, but we don't know how many movies there are till Endgame. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I find really interesting. It's like, that's why I'm saying, like, this movie released in 2029 because we still have 6 more series to be announced.
Which I'm fine with, as long as they take their time and not
right.
like,
At the end of the day, I want them to take their time to do a good job, but it's just like, it's just interesting to me. I mean, it's cool that they have an end goal in sight and in mind, but it's still interesting.
Yeah. And then the next thing, the third movie is set in the sequel trilogy. Well, 15 years after the sequel trilogy, with Daisy Ridley returning. It's about her doing stuff, which is, well, we'll see. I don't really know. I'll be intrigued to see it.
That's it?
That's it for the films.
No, like, what's your thoughts on that? I thought they were leaving the sequel trilogy in the bygone era. I thought they said, "Oh, we're not going to talk about them ever again," or something like that. We're going to move on to better stuff. Okay, and then they return to it.
I will say, I am glad that they're not just ignoring it completely.
True.
And that, the actress is willing to do more.
True.
So hopefully it's a good story. It's not a trilogy that they've announced. They're just doing one-off films for this. So we'll see.
The concept, does it sound like a movie to you, or does it sound like a TV series to you?
The concept, did you read the concept?
Like, she restores something.
Okay.
Restores the Jedi Order or something, which means nothing to me, honestly.
So it's centered around rebuilding the Jedi Order and the powers, the rise to tear it. What? What? Here's the exact quote. Rebuilding the Jedi Order and the powers, the rise to tear it down. What?
That doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
Okay, so on that first part, rebuilding, does that sound like a movie to you, or does that sound like a TV series to you?
It's fine. I'll take it as a film. If it's a film, they put more money into it, and it does better.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Do you think this Mandoverse movie is going to be that pivot point that will explain the sequel trilogy?
Right now, I'm gonna say no, because I think they're telling a different story.
Do you think one day we'll get that story between Mando movie and sequel trilogy that explains the sequel trilogy?
So the sequel series is explained in books, which is like not where you want it to be.
Right.
So we really need a show. I don't think the Mandoverse is going to explain it, because I think they're just doing something else, which I'm fine with.
What is the point of the Mando series?
The point?
Yeah.
What's the point of any of it, really?
Because I feel like there has been a through line, with the movies. It's called the Skywalker saga, right? There's a lot of it, like we have Anakin that we really focus on, and then Luke, and then I guess Daisy, and but it's always at least the 6 movies. It's like the Empire, the Force, and they're really big pivotal characters, and these are big pivotal moments that shape people's lives and futures and realities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with Anakin becoming Darth Vader, he creates a star that destroys a lot of people, and therefore instills a sphere into the universe, and so is the Mandalorian just a blip in what's going on?
Yeah.
Just as much as Andor is?
Yeah, really, like, the point of these small shows are just to be the little blips, the small stories that you don't really ever get to see in the films.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with the Clone Wars. Like, there's so many smaller stories. Each of them are great, but in the grand scheme of things, the point that's to be made is there was a war, people died, stuff happened.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Okay.
Sometimes they'll connect to the Skywalker saga. Sometimes they won't. But the point is, here's some small characters unrelated at first.
Mm-hmm.
Here's them doing their own thing. So
I think so. Are we really led to believe that nothing significant happened in the 40 years between 6 and 7?
Nothing of like major significance, like a big threat.
My point is because a lot of people are unhappy with the sequel trilogy of choices they've made.
Mm-hmm.
So some things must have happened to justify the choices made. Justify the creative choices made. Something in the universe must have happened for the creative choices made in the sequel trilogy. So was that through big events or Mando blips?
I think I'm piecing together what you're trying to ask. But I don't think I understand what you're asking.
Those things that they wrote about in the books.
Yes.
How significant were those events?
So what the book said were like, okay, this is like the last battle of the Empire. This is when it's all finished. So, and we're establishing our new order for the good guys. So politics is pretty much what it is.
When did those events happen?
Those specific events happen like right after Return of the Jedi. Okay. Empire falls, we establish a new democracy. And then over the years, supposed peace, but there are rumors happening out deep in space that we're going to ignore, and then all of a sudden, oh hey, there's these bad guys. Now they're here.
And then so happens the sequel trilogy.
Kinda, yeah. So the sequel trilogy begins exactly the same way as the original trilogy. You have this new empire that kind of just shows up out of nowhere. That's from the remnants of the old empire.
Sequel trilogy, especially the first movie, was really a cash on nostalgia, was it?
Yes. Which is why we don't love how it was set up, because there was no setup.
You posted on Facebook back in 2012.
Oh yes. I posted on Facebook back in 2012 when Disney bought Star Wars. I keep coming back to this quote because I think it's really funny. Back in 2012 when Disney bought Star Wars. Disney is making a Star Wars 7 and is going to ruin Star Wars.
Do you want to reflect on that for a bit?
Well, I came back to this quote at like the end of the last trilogy, and I'm like, yep, those films, they didn't really work well together. And now, like, with the TV shows, I'm like, I really like those TV shows. I don't like the movies. So, on one hand, they did some good stuff. On the other hand, not so good stuff. Have they learned from it? We'll see.
Is there part of you that wishes Disney never bought Star Wars?
I think there's always a part that's curious, because as soon as Disney bought Star Wars, they canceled everything. They got rid of the old canon and continuity and started from beginning.
What was being planned besides Clone Wars Season 7?
So there wasn't really much being planned in terms of movies. George was wanting to do a live-action TV show. He wrote scripts for it. But, like, he was trying to figure out the technology of the time in order to do that cost effectively, but make it look good as well. Video games were the thing. There was a video game called 1313, which would have been like a young Boba Fett game. It looked really good, and then they canceled it because Disney bought Star Wars. Again, there was Clone Wars. I get it. Like, by then, Star Wars was like told. Everything was told, really.
Mm-hmm.
Unless George wanted to do more and like get rid of the continuity, because like the books, they're canon until George says they're not. It's pretty much how they work.
Mm-hmm.
If he wanted to make a TV show set in the future and disregards everything, that's how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
But at least they respected and nod some things that integrate them into the stuff at times. So it's interesting. It was really crazy back then. Really wild, very confusing things. But there really wasn't much more to be told besides what happened in Clone Wars, maybe some in-between stuff like Rebels. So now they have the opportunity to just do what they want.
Mm-hmm. And you're fine with them doing whatever they want?
I'm fine for the exploration and see what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, not everyone read the books.
Right.
Or played the video games.
Right.
So it's nice to see, like, content outside of books and video games based in these different time periods.
What happened? So when George sold Star Wars, did he want to be removed from Star Wars, or did Disney remove him?
Disney removed him.
Why would they do that?
Because the prequels were bad. Apparently.
Yeah, but like, he doesn't have to direct or write. He can be like a Kevin Feige. You know what I mean?
Right. So they're like,
George has an idea. They're like, oh, good idea. Let's make that.
But no. They're like, yeah. But especially back when Disney bought Star Wars, there was this feeling that they had wanted nothing to do with the prequel era. And so everything was like original trilogy. The new video game was like only original trilogy. Nothing prequel related at all. And then people were mad and like, here, prequel stuff. And people loved it. And it's like, okay, I guess we'll do this now.
Do you think the prequels are that bad?
No. I mean, storytelling wise, filmmaking wise, maybe.
I do agree. One, you have issues, but like
thematically,
there's a lot of things about 1 and 2 that I do like more than the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, number 3, I think is really good. Obviously, only watched it one time, but I really liked it, the way they told Anakin's story in that.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing that I took away from that, and I really enjoyed that. And so you're telling me a lot of people didn't like 3?
So I think 3 is generally accepted as the better of the 3.
Uh-huh.
Like how it pretty much, what it pretty much is like, if you were like an older fan during the time of the prequel era, you probably didn't like the prequels. But if you were like a young kid or like a high school, college, early college, you probably loved the prequels. And so the higher ups at Disney were older.
Do you think there's going to come a day when we're going to get a generation of people who actually really like the sequel trilogy?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
It will be our children who will grow up and love it. That's what it will be.
Okay. I feel like this is feeding my idea about Star Wars being a nostalgia act. It's not good. It's just nostalgia. I feel like this thought is just feeding and encouraging my idea in that. And again, like I will say, like, yes, I didn't go into Star Wars having the most positive frame of mind. I did go into Star Wars kind of hoping I'd hate it, but I also did watch it because I did hope I'd like it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wasn't completely unbiased, and I didn't go in completely fairly, but I did go in hoping I would like it at the end of the day, and I didn't, for the most part. And yes, there are things I do appreciate about it, even though I was thrown off by the direction of the original trilogy. There are aspects, despite not really appreciating them, that I did appreciate, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm really intrigued by, like, when I watched them a second time, like, what I'm going to take away from it. But at the end of the day, especially the original trilogy, I'm like, this is just nostalgia for people. This isn't good. This is just nostalgia. And so now we're in so prequels people hated at the time. And then right now people hate the sequels. And then so if in 20 years we're going to get a generation of people, of young kids, be like, I grew up on the sequel trilogy and I absolutely loved it. I think we're just feeding this idea of anything with Star Wars slapped on it and we feed it to the kids, and then they're going to think it's the best thing ever. I'm being a little strong with words, I know, but like I am not convinced Star Wars is good. You know what I mean? I think that's also interesting. Like even looking back at like Marvel, like sometimes maybe I'm even wondering, was it good? You know what I mean? Am I having a existential crisis with movies right now? But
I guess.
I think Marvel was a great entry point for me with movies, I think. Kind of helped me appreciate the art more. But I don't and we had a good run with the first three phases. But I think even looking back at the first three phases, I think we can see areas where it didn't age super well, right? I think as a whole, it's impressive and definitely as a whole better than phase 4. And so far what we have phase 5. But I think it is what it is kind of thing. And I think there are a lot of good things that came out of it, but also not everything that came out of it was, quote, good. And so, because also there are people who just as much with like current Star Wars and critical, and I talked about critics earlier, right? And there are like, Marvel was never good to begin with. And so like, I think there's part of me that's like trying to understand this side a little bit, right? But there's still a lot about Marvel I like, and it can be fun. But even like, I got Civil War on Blu-ray because I saw it at the store for cheap, so I'm like, I'm gonna pick it up, right? And mind you, it's one of my least favorite Marvel movies. I don't like that movie that much. I rewatched the airport scene for fun because that's a fun scene, But honestly, even during that scene, I'm like, that's quite a bit of chatter. The thing that we complain a lot about Marvel is like, oh, they chatter a lot. You know what I mean? And it's just interesting. I think just retroactively looking at things. And again, I have no hard opinion. I think at the end of the day, whether it be Star Wars or Marvel or you pick whatever, Minions even, you find a joy that you want to find, and you latch onto it. And so if your joy is from watching She-Hulk, then by all means knock yourself out. The sequel trilogy, amazing. But I think this is my thing with Star Wars, is that I was led to believe for years that it was the best thing ever made. Because everyone loved it. And then obviously up to sequel, and then we get sequel trilogy, and then we see a little more division. But in general, people love Star Wars. But even with that division from the sequel trilogy, we saw how devoted people were to Star Wars. It's this intense love for it, and that this perfection can't be touched. And so, I think I still have this immense disappointment from watching Star Wars that I just didn't live up to that hype.
What?
I don't know. I'm just thinking so deeply about these things. It's almost hilarious, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I essentially stand by with what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, do you understand? Like, for you being such a Star Wars fan, do you understand what I'm saying, or not?
Kinda, yeah. But I also understand your perspective of not really growing up through films and pop culture like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. It's a little sad, but You know. Anyway, they also announced that they're going to make a Tales of the Jedi Season 2, which is like good. I wanted more stories.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have up to today. So what I'm expecting tomorrow is we're probably going to get a teaser for Star Wars Visions Season 2, the anime thing. And then maybe an announcement for some Bad Batch.
Are you expecting a Season 3?
They better.
So, question with Bad Batch. We're going into timeline stuff.
I'm getting all over Bad Batch.
Huh?
I'm getting into Bad Batch. Yes.
What do you mean you're getting into Bad Batch?
I need to talk about Bad Batch for sure.
Okay, just one question.
Yes.
It happens right after Revenge of the Sith.
Right after Revenge of the Sith, yes.
Okay, that's my question.
Right after Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, we all thought Bad Batch Season 2 was gonna be like the end of the show. Why? I don't know why. We just kind of assumes like, oh yeah, 2 seasons, that's good enough. But as we were watching the 2-part finale, I was watching 2-part finale. First episode end with a cliffhanger. I'm like, ooh, cliffhanger. Interesting. We're not as closer to where we need to be for this story to end. So maybe it's not rushed. So the final episode is happening. I'm like, oh my gosh, this stuff is happening. Wow, this is big. And we're going the opposite way of what needs to happen for this show to end. And as we get closer, as the episode keeps going, I'm like, wait a minute. This is not the end of the show. It's like, we're not going to solve things. This is going to be a cliffhanger. There's going to be a season 3. Oh, no. I have to wait a whole nother year.
But you know what they're going to announce instead?
What?
The animated book of Boba Fett.
Oh! I mean, that'd be fun. There was also like a little bit of talk about Rogue Squadron.
What's that again?
Well, that was supposed to be the next Star Wars movie. But like, their thoughts are like, we don't really know. We might turn it into a show. It might still be a film.
Also, speaking of movies, Kathleen Kennedy confirmed that Taika Waititi is still working on this movie.
He's working on his film, but like, we're not going to touch it. It's going to be his own thing.
Well, how do you feel about that? Okay. Do we have any idea when it's being set?
No.
Do you feel like it's set at some random... Okay, do you feel like there are times in the timeline that you don't want to be touched by him? And if he picks some like out there thing, then you're okay with it?
So my hope is that he's not gonna touch on like stuff that are already established to be this is the tone for this time stuff and like this era and this society, and just do the opposite of that. I think what Taika is probably gonna do is like, you know what? We're going to go to a different galaxy right next door. So, like, none of what's going on is happening over to them. So it's just, they're having a good time. It's going to be weird.
Well, honestly, so even with that in mind, it wouldn't even matter when his movie is set.
It wouldn't even matter. And so that's my hopes for his film.
Okay, so if we are set in our current galaxy, when would you prefer his movie to be set? Past, present, or future?
I would like... that's a toughie. Because each of them affects the next, except for the sequel. But,
Well, I think there was a little bit of me that was initially thinking sequel, but... you could imagine all the things he would do, that then everything leading up to that future, then that all the things leading up to that future would have to acclimate towards.
Correct. So past could be interesting, but like,
but then he would have to acclimate to what has been established.
Correct, and plus, like, people really want Old Republic stuff, like Old Republic from Legends, because those were really good, some good stuff. Yeah. So we'll see. So I'm hoping for at least some news for Bad Batch tomorrow.
Sorry, also just one note about movies, Old Republic, James Mangold. I've seen 2 James Mangold movies. He did Ford and Ferrari, right?
I think so, yes.
All right, so he's done that and Logan. So those are 2 movies I've seen. And I'll honestly say, I do not love those movies. But I do believe he's established himself as a director who knows what he's doing. So I have faith in him as a director. I think I'm not truly believing that this movie is going to change everything for me with Star Wars. But I think if there was a movie that would completely change my perspective on Star Wars, this could be the movie. Because this should ideally would be setting a foundation of things, right?
Sure, yes.
And so maybe if this movie does what I want it to do, maybe it would set such a foundation where it helps me understand what Star Wars is. And if it lays... But I don't think it will do that specifically. Because there are so many people who already love Star Wars so much that's not going to try to win Christopher Patti over. It's going to tell its story. And so then at the end of the day, I hope that it will be a good story. But at the same time, it still could establish things that will help one appreciate what is currently established.
So that's most of what's happened at Celebration. We also got like trailers outside of Celebration. So we got Barbie, we got Spider-Verse, Blue Beetle, Secret Invasion.
Forgot about all these trailers.
yeah. No, it's been a week.
Okay. Which one do you want to hit first?
Let's just do the way you wrote them down.
Okay, Barbie.
Barbie. Because I'm doing the podcast, yes.
Yeah, and you have more history with Barbie at this point.
At this point, yes. Visually, looks interesting. I'm concerned about the humor because I don't think it's funny. So I'm concerned.
The only movie outside of Marvel I have interest in seeing in theaters this year is Oppenheimer. And so Barbie, I have no intention of spending $20 to go see. You know what I mean?
Right.
But even so, there's nothing about these trailers that makes me say I want to sit down for an hour and a half or 2 to watch this.
Yeah, no. This one, this one made me less interested to see it than the last one, but I'm still gonna see it because I'm doing a podcast on it.
How? How much do you feel like this is Barbie's Lego movie?
It is totally Barbie's Lego movie.
And the thing that's making me laugh is Will Ferrell.
Yeah. Will Ferrell. We'll see. We'll see. I'm a little nervous.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little entertained by Gosling and Simu Liu's hatred for each other.
Right. Yeah.
I do find that interesting. but that's not enough for me to want to watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think visually it's interesting. But also, what is this movie? Is this a kids movie?
It's not.
Is this...
So they're trying to get a PG-13 rating.
They're trying to get a PG-13.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I don't like that because Barbie should be family friendly. And I feel like that the way they're going about it is by unfunny jokes and humor, just not really great. Because the jokes that they put in the trailer were bad. They were terrible. I hated them. They were never funny in any other situation. And they're trailer bait. That's just what they like to put in the trailers, apparently. Ant-Man and the Wasp has a similar joke.
The second one? Like
Yes.
Ant-Man and the Wasp? Which one? I didn't watch any trailers for that. I remember.
Which one what?
Joke.
I'm not going to say it right now, but...
Okay.
But like the inappropriate humor type jokes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I don't love.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Spider-Verse.
I'm sorry, I'm still hung up on the Barbie.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. So now I have that perspective that they're trying to get a PG-13. I don't know, because watching the trailer, like I couldn't tell if it was trying to be serious or if it was trying to be a parody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so with it trying to be a PG-13, it feels like it's trying to be a parody then.
Yes.
Especially with those kinds of jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Because especially if, I mean, I know Barbie doesn't feel like as big as a brand as it felt like when we were younger, but we may be out of touch because we're not kids, right? And so again, like it's like how are those girls going to feel when their parents say, "No, we're not going to watch that movie"?
I know, yeah. Because just from this trailer, I don't think I'd ever bring my kids to see this film.
Right.
I don't have kids, by the way.
This feels like a rom-com just dressed up in Barbie.
Right.
And I'll just take a rom-com. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Give me an old rom-com and I don't need Barbie attached to it. Who knows? Maybe the movie might be delightful. I think there's a delightful taste to it because of Barbie and Ken going into the real world, and so them so innocent in a real world could be an interesting angle.
But the Barbie world itself isn't innocent, just from the jokes already established in the trailer.
I guess so. I honestly don't remember too much. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like also that concept isn't... I could see that concept somewhere else. All right, Spider-Verse. How do you feel again? I'll let you go first again.
There hasn't been a single Spider-Verse trailer, even from the old film, that I've actually enjoyed, that actually makes me want to watch the film. So, I'm going to watch the film because I want to see more Miles in his story, and because I think that there'll be a lot of like funny visual stuff that doesn't really translate well in the trailer. So we'll see.
Did you see the international trailer?
I did not.
Okay.
Tell me.
They incorporated our 3 live-action Spideys at the beginning.
Ooh.
Like, you see Tobey Maguire's logo as he says something, then Garfield, then Holland's, and then it goes into Miles, and then most of the rest of the trailer that we'd see.
Oh. Okay.
So there's an element where it's like, okay, why didn't they do that for the U.S. trailer? Why is that only the international ones? I think at the end of the day, if they appear in the movie, I'm not going to be surprised. I think they'll just be more like, it's cool, but also I don't think they're going to have as much impact as they did in No Way Home. Unless they make the story to make No Way Home impact it so much. Because they did reference No Way Home in the trailer. And unless that becomes such a pivotal point or something. But, the first Spider-Verse movie happened before No Way Home. Anyways, no, yeah, I you know what? I feel like I like the previous trailer better. You know what? I feel like with each teaser, I'm my excitement and the little I even had in the first place grows less and less. So I kind of like that first scene that they shared. Like if there's you know me, I like a little romance. So I kind of like the Gwen and Miles thing, you know what I mean? So it's like kind of cool seeing a scene of them. You know what I mean? And then we have the first teaser, whatever, trailer, I don't know. And it's like, okay. And then we have this, and I'm even more, This is, again, not a movie I'm planning to see in theaters. And for my main reason is the fact that the
visual overload.
Mm-hmm. Already the trailer is a lot. And
it is a lot.
And this movie is going to be even more simply on the fact of how many Spider-Men are going to be in this. I think it's really cool what they're incorporating. I think it's cool that they're doing this. I will watch this once it is available digitally.
Yeah.
Simply because I am intrigued enough to see the story.
Do you remember what I said when we were just theorizing about No Way Home? And we're like, what if Toby and Andrew aren't in this film? And I was like, if they're not in this film, then they better have 100 Spider-Man. And this trailer has a lot of Spider-Man. I'm like, that's what I was wanting if we didn't get Toby and Andrew in that film. So it'll be interesting to see.
It will be. I think because all these Spider-Men, it looks more like a herd of people than Spider-Man. Does that make sense?
Sure, yeah.
Because even in the first Spider-Verse movie, each Spider person were their own character. And even so much as Spider-Noir wasn't really that much in the movie, he still was his own unique character. While in this movie, it just looks like 100 Dalmatians running around. And none of them have a personality, except that they all look different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting what they're going to do with all this.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, I believe that they have a story. So much so that we're getting a quote part 2 in a few years.
Yeah.
So, and then again, there's obviously Miles is making a decision that they don't want them to make. So there's some emotional stakes at hand. So I believe there is some story, but we'll see. I don't know. I have
an idea.
What's your idea?
Because I know a bit about the Miles Morales lore. So
you know what? That just in the world. I don't mind if you tell me.
Well, you know how typically for Spider-Man we have to lose Uncle Ben.
Yes.
For Miles, it was his father.
But so he wants to save his father.
Yeah. So in the first film, his father's alive, which was like, oh, that's a nice surprise. So it seems like we might be losing the father, and he wants to save him because he can.
I think that will honestly make for a really interesting emotional story, honestly. Because that's almost as emotional as you can get. Losing a loved one. It's that train track scenario. You got one person that you love or 5 people. Who are you going to kill? Which are you going to switch the train tracks to?
I'm not switching, because then I'll be part of involuntary or voluntary manslaughter.
I didn't expect you to actually give an answer. That threw me off.
You know, like either way, I've murdered someone by switching.
But you're not going to make the choice.
But if I don't make the choice, I was a bystander that witnessed the crime. But Blue Beetle, Blue Beetle is a trailer that came out.
What's your thoughts on that?
I love the character of Blue Beetle. So for this trailer, I love the main actor. I love the way their suit looks. That's about it. Everything else looked fine. Kind of generic. Kind of looks like an Iron Man copy. Or Venom. Kind of is. But still.
And Deadpool with the moving face.
Yeah, although I find it weird that his mouth isn't opening, because his mouth should open. What I'm not liking is that instead of just being just Blue Beetle, they're gonna bring his entire family into it, which is what they've been doing a lot recently with all these projects. It's like, we can't just have our one main character be the main character. We have all these other people who have no experience doing this. Same thing with Black Adam.
I actually never saw a Black Adam trailer, I'm not going to lie. So I can't speak into that. Did you watch the movie?
I did.
When did you watch it?
I watched it at Christmas time, I think.
Best movie ever.
No.
So you don't think his family is going to be used as emotional pawns in the movie? Or not as much as like Spider-Verse?
Emotional pawns?
Yeah, like the motivation why Blue Beetle does what he does.
I mean, they will, but they're also going to be there actively as well to support him, which I don't think they should.
You know what? There was a lot of hype around the Blue Beetle movie, and so I'm not going to lie, I was kind of intrigued and excited. And now I watch the trailer, I'm like, this is not for me.
Yeah. I'll still watch it. Probably not in theaters, but I'll still watch it. Blue Boy.
It does come down to the idea that I'm not that invested with DC like I am with Marvel, and with Marvel, like, it is so interconnected, unfortunately. So I feel like I have to see everything, and so I am seeing everything. And so number one, I'm not involved with DC, it being interconnected, whether this movie is or isn't. But also, as a movie standing alone itself, this is not enough to intrigue me. I am more intrigued by The Flash, honestly. And even that, I don't know my status of whether I'm watching that or not.
Yeah. Even visually, outside of this costume, I don't really love the way things look. So
costume looks kind of cool, though. I'll give it that.
Yeah, because it's an actual costume as well, then just CG.
So for a hot moment, because while we were talking about Spider-Verse, I thought about The Flash, because The Flash has to do with his mother, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I was thinking, because both movies have elements I'm intrigued with, an emotional story, and in elements that don't pull me, whether it be visual overload or nostalgia for DC that I have none of.
Yeah.
I think if I had the choice to see one first, it probably would be Spider-Verse, because there is, I'm using the word, so much baggage with that is the wrong word, because I did not mean Ezra Miller baggage, but nostalgia baggage. And that it's still not, I'm just using that word. Because Keaton, and so I have no history with that. And so, and I feel like it's going to be a full 2 hours in the middle where it's going to be stuff I'm not going to care about. Well, I feel like, at least through Spider-Verse, I feel like we're going to hit point by point by point by point by point that's going to progress a story. You know what I mean? I feel like the Flash he has a situation, he makes a decision at the beginning, and then we have 2 hours of realizing it, and then we have a finalization at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Spider-Verse, it's point by point by point by point by point. So yeah.
And then lastly, we have Secret Invasion.
And I'm not gonna lie, I love this trailer.
I think it was fine.
I
mean, tonally, I think it's different, but like visually, it just looks like a lot I've seen before.
But we haven't had this with Marvel for a while. You know what I mean?
I know, but like I didn't really see anything intriguing.
But let's put it this way. After this past few years of Marvel that we've been getting, okay?
Yes.
And Marvel's like, okay, what if we repeated a formula that worked before and do it again, good again? You know what I mean? Say, Winter Soldier. Because that's what this is being compared to a lot. Would you be excited to even see something better than what we've been getting in the past few years?
I'm gonna watch it, Christopher. Like, you don't have to convince me. But just from this trailer, I wasn't really moved either way.
Mm-hmm. I think... Now, I'm not saying that this trailer is a 10 out of 10, but I'm saying, like, after what we've been getting from Marvel, I'm really excited. I think that has the... You know what? This trailer looks better than anything of Guardians of the Galaxy I've seen. If I'm being honest, I'm not in love with the Guardians of the Galaxy trailers we've been getting. I still think it's going to be good, but there's nothing about it that really pulls me. You know what I mean?
There was much more emotionally in the Guardians trailer than this, but...
Well, Guardians, the emotional stuff I've been getting has been more from, like, James Gunn talking than the trailers. You know what I mean?
No, for me it was like the trailers, because we're getting more of Rocket
in
his past, and that's more of the sad stuff that we're all about.
I am honestly really excited for Guardians, though.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
Hopefully.
But also, I really hope Secret Invasion will be good.
I hope it's good, too. But, again, trailers are a tricky thing.
Right.
Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're okay, sometimes they don't tell you anything.
I think Secret Invasion will be a little similar to Spider-Verse, where, yes, there's going to be a lot of action, and maybe not all the action that I'm the craziest about, but I feel like there is going to be a continuous enough of story where, yes, maybe like the Flash at the beginning, he has an objective, but I also feel like more like with Spider-Verse, we're going to see a thread as it weaves through. But we'll see. I want something good, Marvel.
Yes.
And I hope this is something good, Marvel.
Mm-hmm. But we should probably move on to the main event for this podcast.
What main event? I thought Star Wars was our main event.
Well, this is our titled thing that this is about.
What?
Our featured mix. Yes, Christopher.
I honestly, for the amount of Star Wars I've been talking about, I really thought that was going to be.
Well, that was see that was the title of last year's thing. So to be different, we're doing the mixtape on this one. So hey, people, the title is only like 10 minutes of the actual podcast, but here you go.
Do you know how exhausted I feel?
None at all. So let's get started.
Gosh.
Okay, for those who want to know what the featured mix is, so the featured mix is like a collection of songs that come from movies or TV shows that are featured, quote unquote, in movies and TV shows that are synonymous to those movies and TV shows.
All right. First track we got is Extreme Ways, which
well,
you said
just tell us what you think overall.
Oh, in general?
Yes.
There's a mix of songs that I'm familiar with and a mix of songs I'm not that familiar with.
All right.
And so some of the songs, more or less the songs I'm familiar with, I do like. And the other songs, I feel like they just kind of exist. They're not bad songs, and they have their place, but it's not like, oh my gosh, I love this song so much, and I'm going to think about listening to this song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So top is Extreme Ways, which comes from all the Bourne movies. You know that the movie's about to end or is ending when this song starts playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a sound that I don't love. I think because the first Bourne movie came in the 2000s, right?
Yes.
So like the sound and the era are quite associated with each other. So definitely, especially by the time you get to whatever latest Bourne movie, I feel like there's an element of nostalgia that kicks in for whether it be the sound or the previous movies that you've enjoyed watching. But because none of those apply to me, it doesn't really do anything for me. It's not a bad track, but it exists.
Yeah, and it definitely works better within the context of a film.
Mm-hmm. I like, honestly, I could only imagine how epic it truly is in a movie. You know what I mean?
Sure. Epic, I guess.
Maybe that's a stretch of a word, but like, again, like, I bet you feel something when that song starts to kick in at the end of said movie. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
That I don't feel listening to it standalone.
Next on the list is Eye of the Tiger, a classic, and it's featured in one of the Rocky films, I believe Rocky 4.
Really?
Yeah.
So not the first one?
No.
Okay, so I have a question with the Rocky movies. So did all those Rocky movies truly have impact on society?
Yes.
Because, like, I feel like by the time you get to 4, then that's a sign of like, oh, you know what, we're making money at this point.
But 4 had like an immense impact as well, especially during the Cold War.
So it was boxing and Cold War?
Yeah, because here Rocky fights a Russian.
Oh, fun. Didn't know that.
It's really weird. It's really weird. Rocky is like, you watch it and you feel good. You want to feel good. It's like, yeah, man, I want to work out. Get my life on track.
Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on the Creed movies?
I have never seen them.
Okay. Yeah, I had Tiger classic. I don't got any more or less to say on that. It's a classic song. I like it.
Okay. Next is Mr. Blue Sky from Elo. They're most recently featured in the beginnings of Guardians 2, but I always associate this song with a montage in the movie The Game Plan, which is a Disney movie with The Rock.
Speaking of The Rock, for a moment.
Okay.
And Disney.
What happened?
Live action Moana, how do you feel?
Oh, too soon. It's too soon to have a live action film that just came out in like less than a decade ago.
Would you have preferred a Moana 2 instead?
Probably. I haven't seen the first one.
Okay, fair. Anyways. Yeah, no, Mr. Blue Sky was introduced to me in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And I really like it. Nice, fun, peppy song.
Yeah. No, I like the sound of this band. I know a couple of their songs, but yeah, no, this is a fun one too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good montage song for sure. Just playing, stuff happens. Right, the next song is Live and Let Die. This is a song that was made for a James Bond movie with the same name, Live and Let Die. That was featured there. I don't think it has... It popped up in a Shrek movie, but like randomly, but not as impactful.
It's a fine song. I never was like, oh my gosh, I love this song. But in no way did I ever hate the song. Like I do enjoy hearing this song, but it was never a song that I was like up in arms crazy about. So if I ever hear it playing, like, cool, I like the song. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one is Hooked on a Feeling, which is, we know it's featured from Guardians. It became so popular because of Guardians.
So I don't know if I picked up a different version or not, but the version I heard had like ooh ha ha ooh ha ha
at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the song.
I had no idea that was part of the song.
You did not?
Because all I heard was from the Guardians movie.
You know this song was also utilized in the trailer as well. That's also why it was popular. And so the trailers used this song.
With that ooh ha ha?
Yeah, before the film even came out. So it was getting popular from the trailers, and the film came out, and it was like, we know this song from the movie and the trailers.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that ooh ha ha really threw me off. Because I kind of, like, I have that, like, Guardians of the Galaxy nostalgia with the song.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cool. And I hear the full song, I'm like, I really didn't see that coming. And so it kind of ruined the song because of what I thought the song was. So if it was trimmed down, I'd be like, okay, cool. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I'm more or less thrown off. So it's a matter of, do I take the time to try to accept the song as it is? And honestly, maybe I won't. But who knows?
Okay. The next song is Staying Alive, which is... It's hard to say where this song is featured because it's featured in so many films. And if there's any like reference that they want to do for the 70s with disco, they'll play this song most likely.
You know, I don't have hate toward this song, but if I had the chance to listen to a different song, I would.
Yeah.
And then honestly, even just sitting down listening through this mix, I'm just like, why is this song so popular? Why do people like? I get it for like a movie thing, you know what I mean? Oh, yeah. It's synonymous with the sound and the time. I get that, but for anyone to sit down, like, I'd rather listen to Never.
So the point of this song isn't to sit down and listen to it, but to like jiggy with it.
I'd rather listen to Never Give You Up. I'd rather even jiggy to that song. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. But it's a dancing song. It's disco.
Who likes dancing? I don't understand. I don't understand like casual dancing.
Me neither. But it's fun to watch.
Like I'll watch like professional dancing, whether it be like K-pop or, I mean, like ballet is not necessarily my style of like to watch, but like, you know, I appreciate time and effort that goes into that stuff. But if you're like, hey, let's go to the club, man, and just like bop up and down to the latest tunes, like you're out of your mind, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
I did that a few times at Liberty, and I'm just like, why do people like this? I don't get it. They can have fun, whatever.
Yeah. The next song is called Kung Fu Fighting. It was made popular in our generation because of Kung Fu Panda.
Which I have not seen.
Mm-hmm. But the song.
Eh.
Okay. Well, I guess the next one. Okay. Well, the next one is All Star from Smash Mouth. Of course, from Shrek. Smash Mouth is really, they're popular because of Shrek.
Mm-hmm. I think, you know what? I think the song is like my Star Wars. Not that I love the song to death like Star Wars people love Star Wars.
But because people have like said that this is the best song.
No, I think, sorry. What I mean is because I'm Apologetics parody this song, so I'm familiar with that version. So, but let's just think of this song in general, whether it be parody or this version. So I grew up with this song. So I never had a moment when I hated this song. You know what I mean? So I feel like sometimes because it is a meme, there are people who would listen to this unironically. And honestly, that's the only way I knew the song, unironically. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's a fine, fun song. Like, it's never necessarily a song that I'm playing constantly or it's like, oh my gosh, I love this. But, like, I enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Again, definitely not my first choice of a song. But, like, if it's kind of a similar level of like Live and Let Die. Like if I heard it on the radio, like, oh cool, it exists. I kind of like this song. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like sometimes like there's some people who's like, who would unironically listen to Never Give You Up? And there's some people who do. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm not that velvetly like I listen to this song unironically, but that's the only way I've known the song. So I'm just like, it's just a song to me. You know what I mean? So, yeah. You know what was funny? I think I was watching a few weeks ago, like the Pulse of the Bullets Tool trailer, and they were using the song. I'm like, that is just funny because it wasn't in the movie from what I recall. I'm just like, of course, that makes sense for marketing. That's just funny to me.
Of course.
It's so synonymous at this point. I guess you have to.
Yeah.
Also, with that, how do you feel about the imminent Shrek 5?
Shrek 5? I mean, we've been waiting for it for so long.
Okay, so you actually want it. Okay.
I mean, probably not seriously, but ironically, I want to see it.
Do you take Shrek seriously or ironically?
I take the first 3 seriously. The fourth one I don't like. But like since then, since then, Shrek as a meme, I don't take seriously. I take that ironically. But if I were just to sit down and watch the films, I take it seriously.
Gotcha. Cool. All right.
Next one is The Night Begins to Shine, which is featured in Teen Titans Go. I guess an interesting tidbit is that this was a song made in 2005 by like a small band. They made it. It didn't really. They just didn't fully release it, but it was like in limbo somewhere until like one of the people from Teen Titans Go found this song, listened to it, contacted the band, and it's like, hey, can we do an episode on this? And they're like, sure. And there have been several episodes since then. I think they're planning a side series based on this. So,
Song?
this song, yes.
Wild. That exists. You know what? I'd rather listen to this over Staying Alive.
Yeah. So what's interesting is like the more I re-listen to the song, the more it just sticks to my head.
You know what? I can see that because I listened to it twice, and I appreciated it more the second time, but it still wasn't like something enraptured me. But I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, because it plays several times in the show, and because of that, I started listening to this song. So, thank you, show, I guess. Next is Bohemian Rhapsody from Queen. I guess most recently is featured in both Bohemian Rhapsody and The Suicide Squad, the first one.
Was it?
So yeah, the trailer for Suicide Squad, the first one, they used this song. People loved it, so they changed the film so it matched the tone of the trailer. And then the song is featured.
Really?
Yes. So the original tone of Suicide Squad was like not as campy and fun, but like a much more serious take. But they made a trailer. They used this song and edited the movie to be like fun, and people loved it so much that they decided, oh, we're gonna reshoot the film, guys.
They actually reshot parts of the film?
Yes. That's why we want the Ayer cut. That's another. We want the one. We want to see the original cut as well, because they changed the film tonally to do this.
Anyways, it's a classic song. That is some history right there.
That is some history.
That's
fun
wild.
Times.
Like I, you know what? I could kind of see, like, if you told me fun and campy and throw in the word weird and Suicide Squad, I could see it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like, there was a scene I did see from the Suicide Squad where it's just edited so weird. I'm just like, what is this crap?
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was like some trailer edited in the 2000s or something, but no, it was a literal scene from the movie. I'm like, what?
So after this, I'll probably want to show you the first trailer, and then show you the Bohemian one, so you can compare.
I'm down for that.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last song. Oh, what are your thoughts about the song? By the way,
I said classic. Like,
okay.
What else can you add to it, really?
All right. The last song is
like sorry, just a thought. Like, there's almost nothing you could really say about the song unless you're writing, number one, an essay, or if you're saying this sucks. You know what I mean? There's like nothing else you can say.
I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The last song of this mixtape is "The Sounds of Silence" from Simon and Garfunkel, featured in an old movie called The Graduate.
I've never heard of that movie, actually. Yeah. Again, another song I'm familiar with, and I like it. Yeah. I wish I had more to add to that, but I really don't.
Yeah. In more recent years, it's been used as a meme song for like.
Really?
If there's like a character looking sad, they'll play "Hello Darkness, I'm my old friend."
But do they play this version or the disturbed version?
This version.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Funny. Because I definitely like in writing "Hello Darkness, my old friend," like I've definitely seen that as a meme, but not sonically. But also, I usually don't watch memes. Yeah.
But yeah,
cool.
That's my mixtape.
So, at some point, I will be sending you a mix of my favorite songs of last year.
Cool.
It's a mix. It'll be 10 songs. You said you want least to best.
Yeah, I said I didn't really care.
Okay, and I know we're only doing this bi-weekly at this point. I think I'm gonna start doing a little something. So for Semper Metalum, which please go follow if you haven't, we've been like list of our favorite songs of each month, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like 5 songs. So I'm thinking I might throw that at you.
Okay.
So not as it won't be 10 songs, and it won't be every show, though we might play catch up.
Mm-hmm.
But 5 songs. So yeah. So what's your next mix?
Well, also the song that was originally also part of this mix that got taken out was from the Stranger Things season 4, "Running Up That Hill," from Kate Bush.
How did it get taken out?
So what happened is that sometimes these songs, they'll re-upload the song and then delete this. And so it got deleted. I didn't feel like replacing it, so
yeah,
I just took it out.
My quick thoughts of that. You know what? I don't mind it in the show, right?
In the show, it's really good, but then the song itself is like, oh.
Well, I don't think I've ever sat down to listen to the full song, but because it got really popular on the show, it started being used on TikTok a bit. And if you know me, I'm not obsessive on TikTok. Like, I might have spells, but I really can disassociate from TikTok easily. So it was during a time when I probably only logged into TikTok for 3 minutes and 3 times for a total of 5 minutes during a period of 2 months. And so I noticed the song being used, and I'm like, you know what? And also, I think it was even before I watched season 4. So I knew of this song being popular. So there's part of me is like, I didn't want TikTok to ruin the song any more than it already has. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, you know what? I don't like the song out of context, whether standalone or out.
Yeah,
or
out of context, it doesn't feel the same.
Yeah. So I'm fine with it in the show, but honestly, outside of that.
Yeah. So originally, the next mixtape is supposed to be the TV show mixtape. However, I still want to work on it because I'm not loving how things are. Mm-hmm. So the next one here is going to be the video game mixtape.
Cool.
And so the songs for this...
we have... What's that? Minecraft?
Yeah, the songs are Minecraft. That's the title of the song. Fallout 4 main theme. Ezio's family from Assassin's Creed 2, which becomes like the theme of the series itself. Then there's the Last of Us theme. Then there's Nate's theme 3.0 from Uncharted 3. Then there's the Arkham Origins main titles. Assassin's Creed 3 main 3. We have a Legitimate Businessman from GTA 5. Then Hazardous Environments from Half-Life. Then we got the Courtesy Call from Portal 2. Then we have Fighting's Magic, Twilight Sparkle stage theme. So this was like from a fan game. Mm-hmm. Then we got Floral Fury from Cuphead. And the last is Still Alive from Portal 2. Sorry, Portal 1. You've heard this one, I believe. It's the song, like the singing song.
With the computer?
Yes.
Yeah. So I can skip that one. No, I won't. I will. I'll listen to it. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Sweet.
Is there anything else we're going to talk about before we close today's episode?
I don't believe so.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.